The category is that a camera lens in your pocket or you're just happy to see me? Hello everyone, so today we're going to be talking about the doll photography a little bit more deeper, and the theme is going to be around the cinematic shot because I placed like a vote on Instagram and this is what you decided to go for. So today it's going to be cinematic shot, and the next video that comes out somewhere sometime soon maybe uh, is gonna be about fashion photography because those are different, and we're gonna go deeper today about that. So when it comes to cinematic shots, you have to remember that the ID is comes from features film like shorts films or whatever, and those films are recorded with 30 frames per second, maybe 60 frames per second. It can go up to 120, for example, which will sort of mean that in 1 second you have 60 or 30 images. If it's 30 FPS, that means there is 30 images, so frame per second. So when you're doing a cinematic shot, you have to keep that in mind because it means that if you're watching a movie, you just press pause and it's a picture. That's the general idea. I don't know how deeper I can get with that. So let's talk about the tools that we're going to use for that, which is obviously the camera, the different lenses. Um, I like to use the 30, I think it's 30, 35 millimeters. Usually it's used when you want to shot some landscape, it's ultra large scenes. But I kind of find it really cool to use that when it comes to doll photography, especially if it's the 1/6 scale. You can have sort of depth of feel easier with it, and I pretty much like it. You're also gonna need some lights, so I have two that I'm usually using, obviously. There's this light here, there's a little cube, pretty much smaller, and this one is a bit more bigger. It have a rectangle shapes, and what I like about them is that they comes using RGB lights. And if you are ordering some of those, make sure that it is RGB lights. It can be really more useful because I kind of ordered this one and I realized when it arrives that it doesn't have the RGB. It basically just goes with I don't know if you can see that, but a warm tone. And when you just roll that thing here, if you can, oh yeah, it's the other side. It gets a little bit more white. I don't know if they can see that, but whatever. So yeah, I'm still using it, but I'd rather use RGB lights. We're gonna use as well stands. That is pretty much helpful. Like it's a tripod, and you can just clip the lights on it. So I kind of like that. You can also put the camera on it or whatever. And one of my favorite things is this baking paper. It really gives, but we're gonna see that during the shot, so never mind. Okay, so what we're gonna need first is to have a scene and a doll. So let's go for it. Okay, so obviously we're not gonna keep that just like that, it's not gonna be like a good shot. So we're just gonna work step by step, like step by step. Pretty good at that. There is this line on the whatever. Okay, so we're not gonna just stay like that. Once we have the scene, we have the figure, so we just need to make sure that the stage, the props, and the furniture match the story that we want to tell. Because, as I said earlier, I'm feeling so like Koya from my first stuff, like hello, fags and besties, hobbyists, and I kind of forgot. Whatever. So we have the figure, we have the stage. Let's add some furniture to just tell the story. Here we go. Okay, so one thing that just come up in my mind is that I should probably. I'm really leaving this my Fergus stuff moment. Anyway, so one thing that I thought I'm gonna do is to actually make just the stage in two different versions, and you're gonna see why. So, as you can see on the shot, make sure that you know your character and the kind of personality that he has. Just by the props and the furniture and the accessories, it really changed everything that is going on and happening. So be aware of that. Okay, let's go to the final version of what I was looking for. So what I'm thinking is to add this little carpet because I always found that it gives some, dimension to um, the stage or to the scenes. So yeah, never underestimate the power of the carpet. If you do, then I remind you to watch Aladdin. So what I'm going to do is because it's a bit too sticky, too close to the light, so just going to take the stage a bit forward, just so that it doesn't really kind of overlight or burn the picture. Oh, I'm wondering if that little light is still working. That would be so cool to just have a little dot. I think they're like, yes, for that fuck's sake, mate. Okay, so another thing that we can do in here is to actually put some blue jacket and stick a bit better. But I haven't put any varnish inside the furniture, so I'm kind of scared to use that. Okay, so let's see how it goes with light on the side of the apartment. That looks pretty good. Okay, now that we have the atmosphere, the light is functioning, the figure is there, he needs to have a pose, because that's how he goes. We're not just gonna stand, he's not gonna stand like that, you know, that nobody does that. Okay, so okay, so now he has his pose, we have the furniture, we have everything, but what we're gonna need is a bit more light to create some sort of contrast in it, because it's too obviously blue. If you know a bit about color and how it works, um, there is some combination like couples that goes together and works in harmony. The good example for that is the Disney animation movie Cinderella, because the artist who works on that movie, she really created this contrast scenes and to make it stand out somehow. So I would say this it's what we're going to do here. So if I'm using blue, that means that the light that is going to work with the blue is going to be the orange. I don't want it to be too bright or too focusing, so that's why the light is actually standing just in that angle. So I'm not gonna just disturb the light over, because I want to have this contrast. Okay, I find this place here a bit empty, so I'm gonna have to add something more inside of it. Yeah, better. Okay, so there is another things that can be used, and it actually depends on you somehow. I'm a smoker, so I have an electronic cigarettes, and that gonna help me to create some dust, or not some dust, but some fog inside of it that will create a moody atmosphere. A healthier and cheaper way to have that is to actually use an atmosphere can, the kind of thing that you spray and create those particles in the thing. So now we're gonna choose which photo we are gonna use to edit, because there are some that is kind of useful and some are useless. So in this case scenario, the problem that I have is that the smoke here is a bit too clear. I would like to have it more blurry, so I can edit that, but you know, let's see what other choices we have. Okay, so I like this one. There is still a bit more, part that is pretty clear, but that can be fixed. It's already good looking when it comes to the crop, even though we have like the end of the diorama right here. But overall, I kind of like that photos. But again, let's see what else we have. Okay, so this one is a no-go. Um, well, actually, I can use it. Uh, I kind of like it, but yeah, again, a bit too clear when it comes to the fog, smoke, whatever it is. Pretty good, pretty decent. It's pretty dark here, but that can be edited. And yeah, I kind of like this one. Bit too dark compared to this one, and the feed is a bit too much crop. Well, the feed is too much crop in here too, but. Yeah, I'm gonna go with this one. This one is gonna be pretty much easier. One of the tip that a friend told me once, who is a photographer, is always choose the photo that is gonna need the less editing. Make sure that everything on the scene is gonna be just pretty much as rough, but even though you don't have to work too much on editing because you're wasting time. Don't just rely on editing. That's one of the tips. I like to use Photoshop Express. It's a free app that you can have on your phone. I have an iPhone, but you can also, if you have an Adobe account, like you have Photoshop on your computer or whatever, you can sign up and then you can use all the tools on the application for free. So it's pretty useful. And as I said, there is already many features that are for free. So one of the first things that I'm going to do is to resize it just to make sure that it match and kind of good. So what is easy on that app is that you already have like the squares and you just have to make sure that you're matching the point, which in that case scenario I want it to be just perfectly aligned on this quarter here, and that will be good. I can see that I have something to correct over here, so I'm zooming it, adjusting the brush, just go here and see, that's what I was talking about earlier. Make sure that you don't have that much things to edit because otherwise you're wasting time. Okay, so that is done. Now let's go here. I want this part here to be a little bit more blurry. Here, maybe too harsh. Okay. Like that is pretty good. Okay. Now, lightning. I don't want it to be overexposed, so I'm gonna just turn it a bit off. Erase some of the shadow. That might sound stupid, but you're gonna see earlier why it's gonna be pretty much useful. And I just realized, for fuck's sake, that I wasn't on a good one. Okay, so here. Now we're gonna adjust that a little bit. Here, a little bit on the purple, just to make sure that the orange pops out somehow. I like to add texture, less clarity, and this is pretty much what I love to use because it kind of saturates the photos, and that is something that I was really looking for. The contrast, of course, and here, now we can just turn off some of the dark, and that's pretty much good so far. So before, after. Okay, The next tool is available when you're gonna have the Adobe account for Photoshop or Lightroom or whatever. It is not gonna be available if you have the free version, which is this part here. Uh, Basically, it's the color grading. So what I want is to just desaturate a bit. Just work on the set. So what I want here is to work on the saturation to make sure that it's pretty good. And the brightness of the orange tone to just have it a bit more light on his face. And here, kind of looking pretty good. Okay, so we're done with Photoshop Express. So next part, I'm going to use another app. Okay, so we are in the app called Verbal. It's pretty amazing because you have some like the PNG kind of stuff that is pretty much live somehow. Like if I go here and use that sparkle, you can actually see the sparkle. You know what I mean? So that's pretty kind of cool. So I'm just gonna add some effect inside of it. Like here, I'm just gonna make sure that maybe this one is a bit better. Smaller, and we're just gonna put that where the dot is, so that way it's pretty cool. We're just gonna make it a little bit more blurry here. Now we're gonna add some smoke to his cigarettes right there. Okay, so green smoke doesn't exist, so we're just gonna change that as well. And a bit more white and blurry because the hand is blurry, so it has to make sense also. And I think that's pretty much good so far. Oh yeah, I forgot one thing. Pretty important. Right there. And a bit more blurry just to see the combustion of it. Okay, so that's pretty cool. No worry about that, about the smoke that is pretty much alive, because when you want to create the Verbal, it's gonna ask you to which kind of format you want, if you want a video, if you want a GIF, or if you want a live action photos. So I'm gonna go for the live photos, of course. There is pretty much a lot of options with Verbal that is pretty cool. It's like some themes that goes inside of it. Let's just take a look. It's not sponsored, by the way, just, you know, I'm giving you the app that I'm using, so it's up to you. But you have different options, different themes. Like this one I use for creating the miniatures for the video about Tate, the Tate body. That one is pretty dope. I think I'm gonna use that as well. That one is pretty cool. I'm gonna use that just to see if it kind of looks nice or not. Okay, so live photos. So once you're here, the thing that you have to do is go to modify or whatever, go to live, and then select which part you want the photos to stop. So in that case scenario, I want to just have like this thing here and put it as the principal photos. So yeah, that's up to you after that. So one of the things that I'm using right now is combine the photos. That's one of the options that you can go for, which is basically gonna just, you know, act like if it was a filters. You can just make sure that you can also use some of the, if you're familiar with Adobe Photoshop, all of this is gonna be like familiar somehow for you, so that's pretty dope. And you can just work with it if you want to, and just turn it a bit off, and you can work on that already. So that's pretty much what we're gonna do here. I'm just gonna adjust that and save it. Now with this panel here, we're just going to turn down this, work a little bit more the contrast, add some texture in it. Turn down the clarity, or maybe no, turn down. Oops, turn this one a bit off. We have some colors that is pretty dope. Now we're gonna just saturate a bit much about the orange, give some lightness in it. Okay, that's probably a bit too much. The blue as well, we're gonna need to change it a little bit just to make sure that it does bring something to the scene. And that's pretty good. Let's go back to the lightning. Contrast, we're gonna see what's going on. Yeah, that's pretty cool. But if I turn the shadow down, no, that's gonna be a bit too much. And the black needs to be a bit like this. And I think we're good. So thanks again for watching this video today. I hope it helped somehow or give you some ideas to do some photos as well. Next week is gonna be about fashion dolls photography. So make sure to subscribe to the video if you want to get noticed when the video is gonna come out, or just follow me on my Instagram, which is Elias_the Dollverse. Not the Dollverse, bitch. Elias_Dollverse. And I hope to see you soon. Bye.